This is Rockin' with Jam Man. It's with 2020 AD. How you doing, guys?
Doing well. Thanks for having us on your show today. I had a chance to take a look at some of the previous interviews you've done, and I'm just really, really impressed. I mean, you do your homework, you really nail it. So, congrats. It's good to
Thank,
see.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah.
First off, for those who don't know you yet, tell me about the band, like how you met, how long you've been together, things like that.
Yeah, sure. So, it's an interesting thing. We're not really a typical band. We're more of a recording project at this point in time. We're more of a recording project that came out last year due to the lockdown, due to the pandemic. Basically, Mark McNelly and myself, Mark is the lead singer on all the tracks, and I'm the drummer. Mark and I had worked together in various projects for about 12 years or so. And during the lockdown, Dan Reed from Dan Reed Network and I had been talking, and Dan and I are good friends, as well as Melvin Brannon, who's also on the record. Dan and I had been talking, and we're involved in another project together, a non-musical project. And it just seemed like it was the right time to maybe reach out to some people that I knew and ask, hey, what are you guys doing right now? Is there much going on? Everybody was home, and everybody was just up for recording. So we started out, Mark and myself, talking with Dan, and Dan said, well, who else are you going to get to play on the record? I said, I don't know. I'd like to get Bumblefoot if he's available to play on the record. We ended up getting Ron Bumblefoot Thal to play on the record. Greg Smith from Ted Nugent's band and Alice Cooper's band is playing bass on it. And we also had Derek Sherinian from Dream Theater and Sons of Apollo play on it. So it's been, and I don't think I left anybody out, but there's about 6 of us that are involved. So yeah, it's been a really cool endeavor.
Bumblefoot is a personal friend and amazing guy with tons of knowledge in the industry.
Yeah. Oh, Ron's amazing. I had met Ron probably a year and a half prior to the pandemic, and I was blown away. I'm a drummer. He was doing a clinic, and I went and I sat in on his clinic just because I was interested in learning what he was all about. And I was just blown away by his playing. I talked to him after the clinic, and actually we had some mutual friends, and and that was kind of it. We talked a little bit there. During the pandemic, he was really busy doing a bunch of different acoustic albums, and I had listened to his acoustic albums and was just blown away by one, his obviously his musicianship, his playing, two, his singing ability, his harmony, arranging skills, all of those things. So it was just one of those things. I was listening to a lot of Bumblefoot's music during the early months of the pandemic, and it was just one of my favorite albums at the time. So that's why he was on my list to call.
Did you get a chance to really pick his brain and learn some things from
Oh my. One of the things, and it's one of the things that everybody that I talk to, that when I bring up his name, the first thing they say, he's such a nice guy, and it's true. He's amazing. Yeah, I consider him a friend, colleague, mentor. Yeah, I pick his brain all the time about all aspects of the business, all aspects of music. Yeah, he's just been a blessing and a real great resource for me. Yeah.
tell us about this latest single, Ratchet. What made you come up with the idea for the song?
Okay, so um, Ricochet is the single. Ricochet was written by Mark McNelly, our singer, primarily. It was a song that he had worked up lyrics for a few years ago, actually, but he had it in his arsenal of songs when we started the project, and he sent it off to Dan Reed, and Dan Reed wrote most of the music for it. Um, when I heard it, and again, I wasn't the writer on it, but when I heard it, I was approaching it more from the standpoint of what the music was doing and how would I add drum parts to it and things like that. Some of the early demos we did, where the drum parts were sort of defined, and I wanted to keep with the feel of what was going on in the demos, but I did add some of my own flavor to it. So when I was listening to it and what was going through my mind, obviously it was Ricochet. I was hearing Southwest influences. I was hearing the Old West. I was hearing those kinds of influences. It wasn't until we started working on the video for it that I actually asked Mark. I said, "Well, what's the song all about?" And his reply to me was, it was in a totally different direction. And I went to another video team and I said, "Can we go in this direction?" And it was just, there was just, so it would have been so difficult for us to do it at that point in time. But I will paraphrase the best I can according to what I remember Mark saying the song is about. So basically, it's about, as you go through life, you meet people, you are influenced, you are touched by those people. You move from person to person, usually in a positive manner. You reach something with one person, you bounce off that person to something else that maybe is positive and reflects you to something else. So that's kind of the idea. Me, when I heard it, I was thinking Six Guns and the Wild West, and so that's where the video came from. So
What do you prefer, being a drummer, or running your own computer company?
very good. You do your research. That's great. Um, yeah, so I've been a drummer my whole life. You know, I started out playing music at an early age. Probably 6 years old was the first time I was on a stage somewhere. Um, the first time I got a paycheck as a playing drums, I was probably about 13 or 14, maybe somewhere along those lines. So, yeah, I've been a drummer my whole life. Um, the IT company pays a lot of bills, and it affords me the lifestyle that I like, and it also affords me to do projects such as this, and to have a record company and have a record label, and some of the other things that we need to do to be able to get the record out into people's hands and let people hear it. So, you know, if I had to pick and choose, yeah, I definitely gravitate toward music.
I love that groovy sound on the track.
Could you just repeat that one more time? You love what?
I love that groovy sound on the track.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on the track. It is, you know, it's the whole album has a lot of different textures and a lot of different landscapes, musical landscapes, I think, that we take the people to during the course of listening to the album. But Ricochet, you know, Ricochet just has more of a modern feel to it. It's a bouncy type of track as far as the drum fills and the drum groove. Greg Smith played amazing bass parts on it. There's just everything. I love everything about it. I love the background vocals that Dan and Mark did on it. And just the icing on the cake was Bumblefoot's guitar solos. It was one of the last songs that we actually finished. It was the first that was written. It was one of the first recorded, but it was one of the last that were finished. And so when we got the tracks with Ron's guitars, I mean, the hair on my arm just stood up. It was that good. I mean, it was just amazing what he did. So.
Now, is all your music like this?
No, it's all slightly different, and this is what I'm going to tell people. It is a great record. Let me see if I can hold this up here, get my camera going. It's a great record to cruise to. And by that, I mean, it's just a fun record to listen to. There's just a lot of different music going on here. There's a lot of different landscapes. There's a lot of different textures. Some of it has a little bit more keyboards on it. And there's just a lot of surprises. I mean, there's just a really, you know, we did a really cool remake of the song "Why Can't We Be Friends" by the band War. And what's cool about that is there's 6 of us that are on the project. We all took turns singing lead on the song. So it's one of the only songs that I know of outside of like big anthems like "We Are the World" and things like that, that, you know, you've got 6 people singing lead on it. So it's cool from that standpoint. But now the album, there's a lot of different musical landscapes on the album.
Does this song have any personal meaning to you, or was it something in aspiration you wanted to get across to your fans?
Yeah. So Ricochet itself was one that was written by Mark. So, he would be better to answer that. Unfortunately, he's not here today. But yeah, I mean, we approach the whole album, especially in the beginning, the early songs. They were designed. We were trying to write stuff that had a positive message. We were trying to write songs that were uplifting to people. And just because, it was during the pandemic, I mean, and everybody was hurting and there was just a lot going on in the world. And we just thought, we've got the time, we've got the resources to do this. Let's try it and, see what we can come up with as a group. And it was something that, hadn't really been done. I mean, as we started working on this, all of a sudden there was a lot of other projects that were spawning at about the same time. And a lot of them, they got to the market a lot sooner than we did. But I'd like to think that we were one of the first projects that were out there that were just had a lot of different people recording all around the world and putting together music during the pandemic.
I bet you were excited to get this new music out.
Oh yeah, we uh, there's nothing like pulling up Spotify and seeing people listening live to your songs, to something that you've created. It's just an amazing feeling to me. I've always written songs. I've written songs since I was not much older than you. And it's just something I've always done. And so it's one of those things that, yeah, to get your songs out there, get feedback from people that they like it, see that people are listening to it. We're streaming right now in about 35 different countries. And so it's cool. We're getting people from all over the world streaming our music.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah. How long did you have to hold on this album because of the pandemic? How long?
How long do we have to hold on to it?
Yeah, how long did you hold on to this album? Because
Okay. So basically, we started working on it. I'm going to say probably last May was when the concept sort of came up that maybe we'll do this. And so it was May when we conceived the idea, probably, and then we started bringing people on board into the project and getting commitments. And like I said, Dan Reed from Dan Reed Network is a good friend of mine, and he agreed to help us write songs, and he agreed to help produce and those sorts of things. But one of the first conversations we had, he asked me, he said, well, who's going to play guitar and who's going to play, lead guitar, who's going to play bass on the thing and stuff. And I said, here's the plan. I said, I know Greg Smith. I've met him. Maybe I can get him to play bass. And I said, and for guitar, I'd like to get Bumblefoot. And Dan, about fell off his chair because, he thought, well, that'll probably, not happen. And so it just took, it took a few weeks. I mean, probably took about 6 weeks of a lot of different phone calls back and forth. Just having one-on-one chats like you and I are doing with some of the guys and just talking, just getting to know each other and, talking about how things are and what we'd like to do and what we've done before and, just that sort of stuff. So those talks, those conversations took place probably through July, maybe June and July. And then we started looking for studio space because I needed a studio to record my drum tracks, and I wanted the drum tracks to sound the best they possibly could, and I wanted to go to a real studio to do that. So the studios where I live is Philadelphia. A lot of those studios were already booked. However, I had a friend who I had just previously met a few months prior who had a studio, and we went down there and recorded all the drum tracks and some of the vocal stuff. We did that in early September. And then the rest of the guys then started slowly recording at home, adding their parts. So we recorded part of the album in Philadelphia, part of it was recorded in New Jersey, part of it was recorded in upstate Pennsylvania, and part of it was recorded in California, and part of it was recorded in Prague, Czechoslovakia. So we recorded on two different continents.
Wow. Wow. Two
Yeah,
different.
so it was a lot. It was a lot of, and that's where the business side of things came into play, the technology and the business side of things. That's one of my strong points. Um, just being able to keep, schedules running and all that kind of stuff. There was a lot of pieces. There was so many pieces to putting all this together.
How did you handle all the writing process for your upcoming album? Is writing the group process?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So, um, we wrote all the songs, from a writing standpoint, were all written uh, by myself, Dan Reed, and Mark McNally, our lead vocalist. And probably 90% of them were written with this model where Mark and I, either Mark or I, we worked up the lyrics depending on the song that we wanted to do. We worked up the lyrics. We submitted them to Dan so that he could go and start putting chords and things like that to them. Um, and usually Dan would come back to us with something right away that was like, wow, this is really good. And then we may go back to Dan a couple times and say, well, let's add a bridge. Let's add an ending, let's add harmonies, or, those kinds of ideas. So we had demos that were sort of fleshed out by the time we got into the studio. Um, you know, and that's how it was done. We were never in the studio together as a group at any point in time. We were all separate all around the world doing this and contributing. And the rest of the musicians on the album, I pretty much gave them all a blank sheet of paper to create. I didn't want to interfere with what they were doing and it's kind of an interesting process in that I went in first and recorded my drum tracks based on the demos we had. But I also had to think that I got 5 other people that are going to be coming in after me that need to be able to play on top of the tracks that I'm creating. So I had to really resist the temptation to overplay and play a lot of drum fills. And so a lot of the stuff that I played on the album is very much in support of the song, which is number one thing that a drummer should be doing anyway, is play in support of the song. But the writing process was basically Mark and myself did most of the lyric writing, and Dan did most of the music writing. There is one song called Hard Drive that we kind of went opposite, and that was something that Dan had come into us with a piece of music first. He had some grooves and things like that. And so from there, then we went and wrote lyrics afterwards based on the music that was already presented to us.
How would you describe your music to people who never heard it before?
Great question. So yeah, I think, it's an album that to me doesn't sound like anything else. I mean, there's influences of different types of music that are in there, but I'm going to say it's rock. It's a rock album first and foremost. It's rock with a groove. Um, and there are also songs that are written in a way that they have really great hooks to them. So once you hear the song, once you hear the album, you'll be singing the rest of the week the album, because they're just those types of songs that really kind of get in your ear, and they're written that way intentionally to kind of have a hook to them. But there's influences. I mean, obviously we have influences of bands that we are near and dear to. Dan Reed Network, obviously Dan played a big role in this album, and there's definitely Dan Reed Network influences on the album. There's also Pink Floyd influences on the album that I can hear, and just different things like that. But I would say, the listener, I think each listener is going to have their own opinion about what the album means to them.
How did the pandemic affect you?
How did it affect me? So personally, I was still playing gigs right up until the beginning of March. March like 15th or 17th was probably the last gig that I played here in the Philadelphia area. And I was scared. I'll tell you right now, I was scared. I didn't know what to think of, was going to happen. I had people that were working with me. They came to me and they said, "What's going on?" I said, "I don't know. We've never encountered anything like this. We might be delivering pizzas by the end of the year. I don't know. You just don't know where, this is all going to end up." Um, for me, I stayed busy. I stayed busy the entire pandemic, putting together the record and just doing the other things that I have going on in my life. I managed to stay busy. And the other thing that, I can say from the pandemic um, was that, I tried to stay positive and I tried to stay upbeat the whole time. And I tried to um, find ways that I could take advantage of the downtime and maybe come out of it better in some way. You know, I gained 15 pounds. I don't know if that's any better, but at the same time, I improved skills in other areas. So, that's kind of how it affected me.
Did you guys get the shot? Did you guys get the shot?
I can't speak for everyone. I did. I got the shot, and I believe Mark did. And I don't know outside of that. I really don't know. I haven't really talked to everybody about that. But yeah, I did. Just from the standpoint of I have a lot of people that are close to me. I want to be able to see them. I want to be able to do things. I didn't want to be excluded from flying. I didn't want to be excluded from going to concerts and that sort of thing. So I opted to get it. Yeah.
Are you worried about getting delayed?
Getting delayed. In what capacity?
I've seen some rock stars who got backs are getting delayed. They are getting delayed.
Getting delayed. Yeah, no, I'm not really I'm not too concerned with it now. I had no real uh, issues with the shot anyway, shape or form. Even with the second one, I had about an hour or two that I didn't feel the greatest afterwards. But that's been my only negative impact with the shot.
How soon do you think the band will be able to go back to into performing on stage and possibly festivals and touring? Any dates yet?
Yeah, so that's good. I mean, like I said, we're a unique project. We're a hybrid project in that this was put together really to play and do an album. It's designed to be a one-off album with a lot of friends and a lot of great people playing on it. The likelihood of us ever getting together on stage, the six of us, and doing something, very unlikely. You could see some spin-off from us. Mark and I will probably continue to work together. We will probably do something. Um, we are, don't tell anybody, we're starting to sort of look about filling out the rest of the 80-20-20 lineup for possibly playing gigs and playing, live shows and that sort of thing. So, yeah, we're working on it. It wasn't our first priority. The first priority was getting the record done and just seeing how that all came together and what the responses are for the record. The record comes out next month officially, and then we'll see. We'll see what the reception is to it. And if there's a demand for us to play the stuff live, we will definitely do it.
What is your favorite memory from playing a show?
Favorite memory from playing a show? Oh, I don't know. So many of them. Um, I always liked working, when you're working with really good people. Um, I always liked the hang afterwards. That's always been the best part. The shows are always great and there's always fun there, but it's always, to me, it was always fun to get together after a show, hang out maybe with people that you don't see that often, that sort of thing. Go to dinner, those sorts of things. But yeah, I mean, I've I certainly haven't played at the level of some of the guys that are in the project. I've done some things, some regional touring and things like that. Um, I had some cases where I was asked to back an artist, and it may have been something where we had 2 hours to put a show together, and then go out and play for a couple thousand people, and that's always fun. It's always kind of nerve wracking because you never know how it's going to come together, but it's fun when it all does come together.
What is your worst memory from playing a show?
Ooh. um, yeah, oh boy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any really like bad memories of playing shows. I mean, there's nights being somewhat of a perfectionist, you try and hit it as hard as you can every time you take the stage. You try and play as as close to perfection as you can. You don't always hit it. There's nights when you just come off thinking, wow, that was terrible. I could have played that 1,000 times better. So I think those are the worst for me. Those are the worst moments when you just don't really live up to your own expectations, especially.
If you could make your dream tour, who would be on the bill?
Dream tour on the bill. Are these living, or can I choose deceased?
Yeah, deceased, living, even.
Wow, that is a loaded question. Because we could be here for quite a while. We could be here for quite a while. I gotta, back in the day, they used to do these big festivals here in Philadelphia called the JFK Jams, and they were all day concert events that were held at JFK Stadium, which is no longer here in Philadelphia. They blew it up years ago and built something new. But they used to do these big festivals with, 10 bands on the bill, and it was just all day, and it was phenomenal. And I saw so many great bands there. The Police, Foreigner, Joan Jett, Loverboy, the Kinks, and it just goes on and on. So for me, that would be a great tour to play on some kind of huge festival like that with, name acts like that. Yeah.
What is next for you?
Well, at 7 o'clock this evening, oh, you're thinking further down the road.
No, a lot of people actually tell me that like 7 o'clock or.
No, it's all good. What's next? Yeah, then we're just kind of right now we're doing a lot of interviews, doing a lot of this kind of stuff. I'll be joining Mark here in a couple hours for some more. We're doing a lot of press between now and August 10th, all over the place. Record comes out August 10th. Hopefully, we get some good response to that. We'd like to do a second record, maybe in a year or two, and we'll see. We'll see. That's.
Hey, by the way, I'm the biggest interview you did with all these interviews that you got coming up. Remember that. I'm the biggest.
Absolutely. I got to give you props, man. Donna, when she booked it, she sent it over, and I'm very open-minded always, and I went and I did some research on you as well, and I was like, wow, he's real. And I watched some of your interview. I watched your interview with Billy Sheehan, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
that was great. That was great. Great, great questions and and everything. So, yeah, no, you got it going on, man. Keep up the great work.
My interview with Black Sabbath.
I didn't watch that one yet. I will.
Okay, but yeah, I got it. But did you, if you did not research and you were gonna talk to me, would you just think that I was just gonna talk about puppies and kittens, or just like child stuff?
Oh, I always like to check things out. I always like to know what I'm getting myself into. I don't like to go into situations cold and not really, have a feel for things. So, but Shauna O'Donnell, who is taking care of our press force and stuff, she's fantastic. I trust her completely. Anything she says goes. So.
How do my followers follow you?
I don't know. Are your followers? Oh, how do they? I got the question. All right, hold on. That was a rhetorical answer. All right, so
no, what?
Yeah, they can follow us at www.802020music.com.
I see you're pretty active on social media. That has to be cool for your fans.
We try. We try. I mean, I have a background in IT, obviously, and I mean, I've been on the internet when they were still, wiring it, so to speak. I mean, I've been involved with the internet for a long time, and so I see the value, I see the merit in it. Am I good at it? I don't know. We're still trying to feel that out. A lot of it we're doing ourselves. We do, just because of the budget involved. We don't have a team working on that yet. We're slowly putting those pieces together. But yeah, we try.
Thank you for being on the show, man. I hope the next time we talk is at the backstage at one of your shows, dude. Peace.
Absolutely, brother.
Thanks, man. Thanks for
Did you get a copy of this? Did we get you a copy of that?
No, I did not.
No. All right. I'm going to reach out to Shauna. I'll make sure we get a copy to you. Thank you so much.
Oh my God, thank you.
All right. Take care.
Have a good one, man.
Thank you. You too.
Peace.
Peace.